Here's another tutorial video on LXBeams. In this video, we're going to cover creating your lighting areas. So just like in a previous video, we're looking at the basic template for LXBeams light plot, the one that I have created, Blythe and Burke. And this is the full example plot. This is the one that I've started creating a light plot on. So I've renamed it my own file, just like I discussed in an earlier video. So let's talk a little bit about creating your lighting areas layer. So over here in the layers tab, we see all the different layers that we have created for our light plot. And right now we're actually looking at the light plot layer. That is the area that is active, meaning I can grab those lighting instruments and move them around. But we don't want to use that. We actually want to draw our lighting areas. So we're going to turn the rest of our layers off. So our magic sheets should all be off. The reason you're not seeing anything is because nothing's been drawn on that layer yet. Our light plot layer, we actually want to turn it off as well. We want to click on the radio dial here, right, on our lighting areas, because that's what we're going to work on. We're going to turn our light plot off again. And as you can see, there's already one circle here that I've drawn for you as an example. This happens to be lighting area 3, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do the rest of my lighting areas in just a second. But from the other video, I'm also going to change the view. I'm going to go down here to the ground plan view because I want to make my areas on the ground plan. And notice my light plot came back because my light plot was on when I saved that view. So I'm just going to turn my light plot off again. And I'm going to make sure that I am drawing on the lighting areas layer. And notice he came on because I activated him. If I wanted to turn him off, I could here. And then that's going to change because we can't work on that layer if it's off. But I want to work on my lighting areas. So remember, we've divided our ground plan up into circles that are about 8 to 10 feet in diameter. And we want them slightly to overlap. I'm starting in the center with area 3 because in my calculations, I'm going to have 5 lighting areas across the apron of the stage here. Area 1, area 2, area 3 in the center, area 4 here, area 5 there. And then the next area section here going upstage, I'm going to have area 6, 7, 8, and 9. Because this part of the ground plan is a little bit smaller, I'm going to only break it up into 4 areas. So the way that that's going to look is I'm going to come over here and I want to draw on my lighting areas layer. So the visibility is set to on over here. And I have that layer active so that I can draw on it. And I want to draw a shape. So I'm going to click this circle shape. It says oval, but it's really a circle shape, right? So that means I'm now ready to draw a circle. I'm also going to come over here and click the drawing options tab because that's going to show me the colors that that's going to draw in. Right now, it's set to draw the outside of the circle as black and then to create a white fill. So if I was to draw that, it would look a little something like this. And I can stretch that around until it's the right shape. And when I let it go, I end up with a circle with a black line and a white fill. Well, I don't want that. I'm going to delete that. I've got to go back up here again and tell it that I want to draw again. And then I'm going to slide over here and change those preferences. And I want my color of the outside of my circle to be something bold and distinct like this purple down here. So I'm changing the stroke or the actual pen stroke to a purple. I also want it to be transparent, so I'm going to turn the fill off. I don't want any kind of fill. So now again, if I come back in here and I draw again, you're going to see how I end up with a very similar circle to what I've already drawn. So I draw my circle, and it immediately turns my cursor into the pointer, and I can move this guy around. Now he's ready to reposition where I want him to, right? So for area 1, I would drop him over here and say that's area 1. Now, once you've created your first circle, the simple thing to do is to highlight it and click copy and paste, right? So there's area 1, paste. Here's area 2, and I know I want them to overlap, right? So there's area 2, and I can click over here and paste, and there's area 4, and I can click and paste, and there's area 5. So here are the lighting areas that I want across the front of the stage: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, the way that I made this number 3, all right, is by actually clicking on a different tool, and it was the text tool here. So I click text, and you can see it gives me a text cursor. And like if I want to drop a, let's do a 2 right here. So I click right here, and I also need to, let me delete that for just a second. So when I say text, I can also use this to determine, again, the properties of that text. So I want to stay with the same color, purple, and no fill. And I'm going to drop in here the number 2. Now he's kind of small, so I'm going to highlight him, and I'm going to go to my font options, which is show fonts, right? And down here under my font options, I'm going to choose font size 36. So that's a really good font size for my lighting areas. And I'm going to put them in the center. And then again, to be simple, I'm going to click that, and I'm going to click copy and paste, because it's easier to just copy and paste. I'm going to drop that guy over there, and I'm going to double click and change it to a 1. Click enter. I'm going to click over here, paste, double click. This is area 4, enter, and center up my 4. Click over here in the middle, and I'm going to copy and paste, double click area 5, enter, center up my areas. So here's areas number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I want to get 6, 7, 8, and 9 going. But before I do that, I'm going to take my own advice, and I'm going to save my file. Save often. If you make any mistakes, it will save you a lot of heartbreak by losing a couple of minutes work, not a couple of hours or even a whole day's work. So I've got 4 more lighting areas I want to create here. So I'm going to click on highlight my circle, and I'm going to press Shift and see if I can highlight them both at the same time. Okay, I don't think I can. All right, so I'm going to do this one at a time. So I'm going to get my circle, copy, paste, and I'm going to adjust here and copy, paste. Okay. Copy, paste. Oh, I'll move that guy down. Don't want to make him bigger. And over here, copy, paste. So these areas could be just a little bit bigger. Really, they need to overlap just a little bit more. But I'm kind of rushing through this so I can show you this example. If I were making this diagram, I would work on these to where they were maybe just a tad bit bigger. more to like a 10-foot area than the 8-foot area I've created. This is just an example. So this is lighting area 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this guy up here is going to be 6. Just going to grab that 5 and I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste over here. I'm going to paste in here. I'm going to paste in here. I'm going to paste in here. And then I'm going to go back and double click 6, enter, double click 7, enter, double click 8, enter, double click 9, enter. And then I'm going to justify these so they're nice and centered up inside my area ring there. Great. And then I'm going to click save again. Because every time I make any sort of like major step, I'm going to save my file just to make sure that I'm not losing any work. There's also other areas that you could create. Like I would imagine you would want a lighting area right inside these double doors. You'd also want a lighting area that lights up this outside scenery here that can be seen through that looks like it goes to a second stairs. You might want to create a lighting area just outside this window here to give your audience some sort of view that this is the outside world. But these are the basics of the lighting areas. Now, if I go back here to my layer, here's why we can turn these on and off. I don't want to see these all the time on my plot. So when I want them to go away, I turn them off. And they go away. So that way I can go back to my lighting plot layer and I can work on my lights whenever I want to see my light plot. And if I ever want to reference my lighting areas again, I click them on and it shows me exactly where my lighting areas are. I click them off and they go away. Whenever you're ready to create a copy of your lighting areas to be submitted to me, you can turn your lighting areas on again and then go over here to File and click Export and export this as a PDF, and then it becomes a submittable PDF document that shows us the drawing of your lighting areas for your light plot. Great. So that's a tutorial on creating the lighting areas and exporting those as a submittable document. Good luck with your project. The next video, we'll talk about magic sheets.